Hello and welcome back to George Past the Post. The last video looked at elections for one person. This video, which is about elections, is going to look at the systems used to elect more than one person. Now, this could be just 4 or 5 people for a parliamentary constituency, or 3 for a local council ward, or it could be hundreds of people elected for a nationwide constituency. So, this system will sound familiar. It's first past the post, but it's known more correctly as block voting. So, let's say you have a 3-seat ward. In the election, people vote, or they're allowed to vote for up to 3 candidates. The votes are counted, and guess what? Yes, the top 3 candidates with the most votes are elected. But there are other systems as well. There's a system known as party list PR. This is where, rather than voting directly for candidates, people vote for a party. Now, the party chooses the candidates and the order in which they appear on the ballot paper. Sometimes they're shown on the ballot paper, sometimes not. People vote for a list or an independent candidate, although it's harder for independents to win. Vote for a party, votes are counted, and these seats are allocated based on the proportion of the vote for each party. So let's say you have a nationwide constituency of 100 members. The idea is that if a party gets 20% of the vote, they will get 20 seats. Now, there are various variations. Some systems use a threshold, sometimes 3% or 5% or even 10%, which means that, if a party wants to win seats, they have to get a certain level of the vote. In some cases, depending on how many seats you're electing, there's a sort of natural mathematical threshold, as it were. So, if you're only electing 5 members, then there's a sort of limit to the vote share that you might get. My point being is, if you got 5% of the vote for a 100-seat constituency, you're far more likely to win seats, about 5 seats, than you would if you got 5% for a 5-seat ward, because you probably wouldn't win any seats. I'm going off on a tangent a bit. Now, there are other versions of list PR. There are various versions called open list PR or semi-open list. This is where the outcome is the same. People will still vote for a party, but they are allowed some control over the order in which candidates might get elected. Or sometimes you just vote for a candidate and the vote goes towards the party that they represent. I'm not sure if this is making any sense, but never mind. You've made it this far, so please keep going. So that's party lists in about 2 minutes. There's another system though called single transferable vote. This is where there are no party lists, either open, closed, semi-open or semi-closed. This is where voters number the candidates in order of preference. And so say you have a 5-seat ward, 5 candidates are elected, but rather than simply having the 5 candidates with the most votes win, with single transferable vote, what happens is, they calculate a quota. And the quota is calculated, there are slightly different formulas, of course there are slightly different formulas, but the general idea is it's the number of seats to be elected plus 1. No, it's the number of votes cast divided by the number of seats to be filled plus 1 plus 1. So if you have 100 votes, divide that by 6, because 5 seats to be elected plus 1, so 6 plus 1, and it's about 16, 17, I don't know. Hey, the guy who claims to know a lot about elections can't do very quick maths. But anyway, to win, a candidate needs to reach the quota. So they count the first preference votes. If somebody reaches the quota, they are elected. If nobody reaches the quota, then if you've been listening to previous videos or watching them, the person with the lowest number of votes is eliminated. Their votes are reallocated to the other candidates. And this goes on, and it seems forever, like this video. Basically, and if you are elected, if you reach the quota but you're over the quota, the surplus votes, so if you needed 20 votes to win and you actually got 25, 5 of your votes are reallocated. There's a long and complicated way that this is done, and it depends on the different voting systems. But anyway, the general point, he said, is that eventually you will elect 5 candidates because they either reach the quota, or if you basically run out of candidates, so if you're down to sort of 3 candidates left, the lowest placed candidate will be eliminated, and that will decide who gets the final seat. The point here is the outcomes can be very different. I realise I've gone on for a bit longer. I do this, I say I'm going to be succinct, and then then I start talking. But the general point is proportional systems, the result is generally more proportional than, say, it would be under first past the post. So my point is, if you had 5 seats elected using the block voting, go back to the beginning, you could get all 5 seats for one party. Under single transferable vote, you might get 2 candidates for party A, 2 for B, and perhaps an independent wins. But with party list PR, you might get 3 for party A and 2 for party B. Nothing for an independent because it's harder for independents. So this has been a fun 7 minutes that you will not get back. But I hope you enjoy. I hope I've made some sense. And if not, well, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.